So you gave him some booty. I'm sorry. You had sexual intercourse. All right. And you're wondering, did you do it too soon? You're wondering, was it the right decision? You're wondering, what is now going to come from this? Well, sit tight, relax, and watch this video as I explain and answer the question, did you have sex with him too soon? My name is Stephan here, aka Stephan Speaks, back with another dating and relationship advice video for women. As I said, we're going to be talking about, did you have sex with him too soon? Before we get started, as always, be sure to like this video, hit that thumbs up, share this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification button so you can be alerted every time I go live or post new content. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about sex, right? Now, let me make clear right off the bat, this is not me telling you whether you should have sex with him, okay? This is not me speaking to the moral compass of sex, especially as a believer, and I am a man of God, so, that plays into my thinking. However, I understand that even though we can talk about how waiting till marriage is the way that God intends it, we have to accept that or realize people are having sex. I understand that. I accept that. So with that, we need to be able to talk about these things. We got to talk about it within the dynamic of how people are going to approaching relationships and dating, so to speak. And so a lot of women are engaging in sexual activity, have engaged, or may find themselves in that position. And we want to talk about, did you have sex with him too soon? Now, this may be about what you're going to face or what you already faced. But let's get to it and break this whole thing down. So right off the bat, the first thing to ask yourself is, do you want fun or do you want love? So listen, before we can understand if you had sex too soon with a man, we have to understand what is your true core desire overall. Now, some of you might say, why can't it be both? Why can't I want love but still want fun? And technically, yes, you can do both, so to speak, but understand that one can undermine the other. And trying to have fun can derail you from finding love, because a lot of times that quote unquote fun creates attachment to individuals that you don't need to be dealing with. I always say a lot of people have not let go of someone they should have let go of a long time ago because of sex. Because it creates that attachment, or what some may see as a soul tie. One way or another, it now it does, in some situations, locks people into your life, because let's say it turns into having a child with them that now are going to wreak havoc in your life. That are now going to make it harder for you to be able to find that real love, as well as that situation that you get involved with can cause a lot of damage. So it's not that it's impossible, that no one has ever survived having sexual relations with someone and then moving on to finding love. It is possible, but you've got to understand what you can handle. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but also what the whole situation entails, what comes along with this person that you're going to be dealing with and this dynamic that you're entering into. There's a lot to think about. And then the problem is, when we're trying to have fun, we're not always considering all these things. We're not considering the pitfalls. We're not considering the damage that can come. We're just considering how we're feeling in the moment and how we want to meet our needs or desires at that moment. But that moment can turn into a lifetime of pain. So you got to understand that. But getting back to the original point, do you want love or do you want a relationship? So aside from all those things I just mentioned, if you just want fun, then it kind of eliminates the whole too soon issue. There's still some things to consider that we're going to talk about, but it's not as relevant as if you do want a relationship, especially if you want a relationship with that specific man. Because there's one thing to want a relationship in general, to want love in general, but in the meantime, you're allowing yourself to engage sexually. It's another thing when what you actually want from this man is a relationship, but now you are settling for, or you are allowing yourself to engage in a sexual relationship hoping for more. And this is where it gets more dangerous. And this is where I would say this. If you want a relationship with this man, or you see potential with this man, it would be best to wait. It doesn't mean it's impossible for it to happen very quickly and things to work out. And I'm going to really shed more light on that at the end of this video. We're going to talk about specifically, can a relationship still happen after having sex, quote unquote, too soon? But the point is, by not waiting and not doing the due diligence that I'm going to lay out for you as we go along in this video, you're going to make it harder for yourself. Not impossible, but a lot harder. So when we ask ourselves, what do we want, especially with this specific individual, we then have to ask ourselves, okay, what gives us the best chance to achieve that? And so sex too soon, and I'll lay out for you what those too soon markers are, is definitely something that you have to pay even more attention to, all right? But again, the first question is, do you want fun or do you want a relationship? Now, the second thing to ask yourself, all right, is can you handle this emotionally? So here's the reality. Some people want to put it out there that men and women are the same and that women want sex just as much as men. I argue that is completely untrue. And the reality is that we are simply wired differently. And though there are women who could want sex as much as a man or like a man, that does exist. In the general population on average, no, women are not, their libido isn't as high as the guy. Their desire for sex isn't as high. What a lot of women truly desire is intimacy, all right? So and unfortunately, because receiving intimacy for a lot of women has had to go through the pathway of having sex, many have combined the two. So many look at sex and intimacy as the same, but it's not. So to make it even clearer, I break it down like this. If there was door number one, which was hugs, kisses, caresses, just pure intimacy, deep conversations, all that stuff, right? And then door number two is just raw sex, just slapping cheeks, whatever you want to call it, all right? Just getting down with the business, that's it, okay? Which door are you going to take? And if we surveyed women, the majority would take door number one, intimacy. And I would argue the majority of men, not all men, same way not all women, would choose door number two. So it shows there's a very huge difference. Now, why this pours into can you handle this emotionally? Because we are wired differently, we also have to understand that as a woman, your emotional side or your emotional wiring is a huge component to how you engage in sex, what you take away from that experience, even your receptiveness to it, and things of that nature. And with that, a lot of women, if they're honest with themselves, struggle to have sex without getting caught up emotionally. All right. And that's nothing to be ashamed of or to be mad about. Because I see so many women try to deny that part of them, thinking that they can handle these casual sexual relationships, continuously falling on their face because they simply can't handle it. You're just not built that way. And that's okay. You don't have to be. Accept it for what it is. Again, you may meet a woman who says, yo, it's not a problem for her. Cool, that's her. That's not you. Now, if it is you, that's a whole other story. But whatever it is, be true to who you are. And so what I've also noticed with a lot of women, even some of the ones who say they can handle it, and again, there's always exceptions to every rule. But what I have seen is that the majority of women, if not damn near all, they don't actually learn how not to catch feelings when having sex. They learn who they can have sex with and not catch feelings for. So essentially, they understand, okay, this guy, I don't view him as a guy I want to be with. I don't view him as someone I want to build a life with. So I can have fun with him and not get caught up because I don't value him for anything past what he can bring to the table physically. But if they see that man as someone they could actually be with and desire long term, that's where it gets tricky. That's where a lot of women do get caught up. And so you got to stop yourself in the beginning and say, okay, if I'm going to do this, can I handle it? Can I handle whatever this is? Can I handle this without getting so caught up that this turns into a very unhealthy attachment? Which an unhealthy attachment will lead to more damage, will lead to, again, a cycle of negativity, and which will derail you in so many different ways. So when you are trying to ask yourself, did I have sex with him too soon? The question is, it's about, can you handle it? Or could you have handled it? And if this is a situation that has already passed, How did you handle it? Let's learn from that. Let's understand. Are you really capable of being able to lay down casually with a man without getting your feelings all caught up? Plain and simple. And again, understand when we say feelings, sometimes feelings aren't, it's not that you actually falling in love with this man, all right? But it may be this jealousy may arise. Let me backtrack. Let me not even say jealousy. The bottom line is emotions and feelings that draw you more to him, that get you attached to him. And I've seen women, even though we mentioned earlier about women learning who they can have sex with and not catch feelings for, even in some of those situations, women have ended up catching feelings or getting their emotions all caught up. So you really got to be real with yourself. There's a lot to dissect here, but the point is, listen, be honest and be real with yourself about what you can handle. Can you handle this emotionally? Because that's going to be a huge marker as far as what's too soon. So essentially, if you're going to move forward with sex with this person, you got to get to a place where if it's going to be in a casual setting, or before anything is commitment, any commitment has been set in this relationship, you got to make sure that emotionally you can handle that, because otherwise, then it's damn sure too soon. Now, number 3 is, do you understand what you're getting yourself into? So this encompasses a few things. This encompasses the whole knowing yourself enough to understand what you can handle emotionally, not getting caught up. This also means understanding, yes, are you aiming for love? Are you aiming for fun? But let's go beyond that. Also, do you know who the hell this man is? Do you know what you're engaging in with him? Now, I get it. Listen, when having quote unquote fun, there's, again, less evaluation being done. Let's keep it real. People meet each other. They're just caught up in the chemistry. They're caught up in the attraction. They're not worried about trying to evaluate the other individual. Not saying that's the right way or a good thing. It's just that's what tends to happen. But this is why people get caught up in a lot of messed up situations, because they end up laying down with someone who it can turn really messy with for various reasons. So you want to understand, you want to at least try to get as much information as you can with this guy so you understand who you are laying down with. But also not just about understanding who he is, where's his head at? What is he looking for? So we talked about, okay, do you want love or relationship, but what the hell does he want? Because you can want love all you want, but if this man's saying, I don't want a relationship, then we need to understand that. And if you're going to move forward with laying down with him, then please do not lay down with him with the expectation that your sex is going to get him to change his mind. And I say that because, listen, there's a lot of women out there who have moved forward thinking, if I put it on him the right way, okay, he is going to want to be in a committed relationship with me, and then end up sorely disappointed when that doesn't happen. So you've got to, one, don't set yourself up or play yourself in that manner. But again, understand, where is his head at? What is he actually looking for? Now, granted, you can never know 100% for sure. And there's going to be men who can claim one thing and mean something else. I get that. I can't hold it against you if he tells you, yes, let's say I'm looking for something more. I do see a potential relationship with you. And let me stop right there and say this. Sometimes he's not lying to you when he says that, even though it doesn't work out to be a relationship. I think women have to understand that the unfortunate reality is that you can meet a guy, he could come in seeing you as potential, thinking there might be something here, and I am willing to entertain the possibility of a relationship with this woman. And then somewhere along those lines, he figures, nah, this ain't gonna work. Nah, I don't really see her like that. But the unfortunate reality, and I say unfortunate for the woman, especially when your desire is for something more, is that a lot of times that guy still wants, you can call it the consolation prize of having sex with you. So now when it shifts to a sexual intention, you may say, well, he was always lying, that he was never serious. No, he was. But unfortunately, things change. And yes, it would be best if the man would say what's going on, but that doesn't always happen. But let me also point this out, and it pains me a little bit to say because I know it's going to be rough for some of y'all, but I got to give y'all the truth. Sometimes things changed because you had the sex. Now listen, what I'm saying to you is this. There's two ways to look at that. One, there's the sex wasn't that good. Now, listen, I know that you may be thinking, nah, that's impossible. You got that good stuff. Listen, chill, okay? Understand that you could be, everyone could have the ability to be a good lover in bed, but that doesn't mean the partner that they lay down with, it's gonna connect in that experience, okay? That it's gonna end up being of quality, so to speak, or at least to that person's liking. And yes, when people are having sexual relations, they're going to use that in the evaluation of, do I want to move forward with this person? If they feel like that experience with you was subpar, that's going to play into it, which is another reason why when you ask yourself, am I having sex with him too soon? You have to ask yourself, am I at a place where I'm comfortable enough to bring my best to the table? I'm not saying this to put pressure on you as a woman, but I want to give you the reality of the situation. If you're going to lay down with him, understand that performance is going to be taken into account as far as if he wants to move forward with you. If you're laying down with him before you guys have gotten into a committed relationship, I would argue that once in a committed relationship, there may be more patience. There may be more of a grace period, because there's an argument to make that if he made a commitment to you first, that he likes you enough that he may try to work with you. But if he has not committed to you yet, if he has not established that desire for a relationship, no, forget that. If he hasn't committed to you yet, let's just go with that, and you have sex, then yes, there's less tolerance, all right? There's less reason for him to say, I'm going to stick around when the sex was not good, not good for him, not to his liking. So understand that, yes, somewhere along that path, he may change his mind because of, again, it may just be personality conflicts. It may be the sexual experience that throws things off. But this is why you want to make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. And again, this is why you really got to start with that question of, do you want fun or do you want relationship? Do you want the experience or are you trying to establish something more? Because that's going to lay down the foundation of how you need to move in this situation and if you are having sex with him too soon. All right, so let's move this along. We get to number 4. But before I mention number 4, quick plug, real quick. Listen, if you desire to get some coaching from me, if you desire to get some questions answered, you need some guidance, you need some help, you simply want to improve your overall life, join my special membership coaching program. Here is your chance. Click the link below or go to www.receivingmyblessings.com. You're going to get videos on healing, finding your purpose, meeting relationship-minded men, tapping into your feminine energy. You're going to do live Q&As with me twice a month. There is so much value that you're going to get from this program. So I want you to take advantage of it. Again, go to receivingmyblessings.com or click the link below. Now, let's move along. Number 4 on this list is, are you having sex with him because you want to or because you want him to like you? So this is a very important thing when determining when you need to move forward sexually in this relationship. If you're doing it because you simply want to, so be it. You are a grown woman. You are allowed to make that decision. And at least that way you understand that this is about your desire and you're not expecting anything out of this other than the experience. It's very important that you are simply going in for the experience. Because let me tell you, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times when a man lays down with a woman, he's just focused on the experience. He's just focused on that moment, being able to have sex with this woman. That's it, which is why it's so much easier for that man to be able to walk away without being all emotionally attached, without being all caught up, because he wasn't expecting something more. He was just trying to enjoy the moment. Now, as a woman, you really got to ask yourself, am I doing this because I really want to? Now, or are you doing it because you want him to like you? So the other side is, yes, a lot of women lay down with that man, whatever point. It could be first date, could be first week, could be first couple months, whatever point. Because you're hoping this will help show you in a better light, or this will help I guess, gain more of his interest, that this will help lock him in. Or as I mentioned earlier, the idea that you got the good stuff, so if you put it on him, that's going to make him give you that relationship that you actually desire. And the problem is, when you lay down with a man for the purpose of him to like you, or the purpose of trying to get a relationship out of him, it's a huge risk in setting yourself up for huge disappointment and a lot of damage. Because now, when you don't get what you want, you're going to feel like you've been cheated. You're going to feel like you've been used. You're going to feel devalued. You're going to have a lot of negative impact from the outcome being what you were, not being what you wanted it to be. All right? And so, again, this is why if you're the desirous for relationship, I would prefer that you get the relationship first. That way, at that point, if you lay down with him, you're already past getting what you wanted. And so now the sex can be just about you enjoying that individual. Because again, and let me just repeat, this is not about me saying this is how y'all should move as far as even having the sex in general, but it's about talking about the fact that how to best navigate when you are engaging sexually in dating and relationships. And so, yeah, like you just have to make sure you understand what your motive is. You understand what your intention is. And you don't go in with the wrong intention. I always tell women, like, listen, until you are okay with what's going to happen next, don't lay down with that man. You really got to get to a place where, listen, if we have sex and that's it, I'm good. Because I simply wanted the experience. I simply wanted to lay down with him. That's it. Rather than, well, I hope this gets me what I want. That's not a good approach to take. So now the next point, which I kind of ended the last point with, but I need to reiterate it, is are you going to be okay with what happens next? So again, it's all about, why are you even doing this? Are you truly comfortable? Are you truly okay with this decision? I want you, listen, again, though, even as women of God, those of you who are, right? Though there's a part of you that says, okay, you shouldn't do it. The reality is you may find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're going to kind of fall off path and you're going to do it, right? And again, in that moment, you got to be able to be okay with, well, if I make this decision to move forward sexually with this man, whether he calls me the next day or not, whether a relationship comes out of this or not, whether he likes me more or not, I'm okay, because again, as I mentioned the last point, because you wanted to do it. Because it was, whether you found it as a stress reliever, whether you just want to feed your lust, whatever it is, again, I'm not here to judge at the moment or at all, okay? I'm simply breaking this down to help those of you who are moving forward in this way. You got to make sure you're okay. And that's it. And that also goes back to being able to handle it emotionally. That goes back to, okay, understanding what you're dealing with overall. Because if you attach a certain aftermath or after effect to the experience, this is where so many women end up getting hurt so many times. And so again, it's just, I don't need to keep dwelling on it. The bottom line is, you just got to be okay with what's going to happen next. And if you can be at peace at that point, all right, then you can make that decision all you want. And it's not a worry about, well, it's too soon or whatever. But just understand that's how it goes. Also, forgive me, but I forgot to mention this earlier when I said having sex with him can impact his desire to have a relationship with you. And I focused on the point of performance becoming now a part of the evaluation. But also the reality is that some men, I don't think all men, I won't even say most men, but I will say there are a good amount of men out there who will judge you, who will look at you different if you lay down with him too soon. All right. Now, what too soon is to that guy, it's hard to say. I think for a lot of men, if it's like, and I'm just giving a general example. A month in, I'm not really hearing men talking about, oh man, she slept with me a month in, she's a hoe. Like, I really haven't heard that one. All right. But first date, I've heard it. First week, I've heard it. You know, now again, I'm not saying every guy thinks like that. I'm not even going to say the majority of men right now think like that, but I will say a lot of them do. So please understand that yes, that can, the timing of you laying down with him and the circumstances surrounding it can play into how now he will view you and can alter the path of the direction he was willing to go in with you. So it's something to be mindful, and which is why, like, I remember one time somebody said to me, he knows of, and this was a guy, he knows plenty of situations where women were basically disregarded as potential because they had sex too soon. But he doesn't know of any situation, or sex, let's say on the first date, more specifically is what he said. But he doesn't know many men who disregard a woman because she waited a few weeks to have sex, or a month to have sex, or even a couple months to have sex. Well, let me say a couple months, because there are some guys. And again, let me also point out, it depends on what that man's intentions are. I think that if he is relationship minded, and of course he's more flexible with the time. If he's just looking for fun, then yeah, he may drop you after a week. He may drop you after that first date because that's all he wanted. So please consider that when we talk about the men who aren't willing to wait, understand what that underlying intention was for that guy to begin with. All right. Well, now let's get to that point that I made earlier that I said I was going to shed some more light on. And that is, can a relationship still happen when you have sex too soon? So now there's going to be some people that say, maybe they had sex on the first date and they end up married. And yes, that does happen. All right. But that isn't like the norm. That doesn't mean that's the right approach to take. Let me just make that clear. But when we're speaking to the question of can a relationship happen? Yes, it is still possible. But as I mentioned earlier, the things that we do can help increase the chances or decrease the chances. All right. And so in more cases than not, having sex too soon, and we're going to go with simply having sex before there's any, and let's keep it in the box of you actually wanting relationship. All right. Having sex too soon decreases, or it can negatively impact your chances of getting that. Simply because, again, it can blind you from being able to properly evaluate that man. Because that's the other thing about having sex too soon is like, okay, even if you can handle it emotionally, even if you just want to enjoy yourself for the moment or whatever, if there's any part of you that is looking or trying to evaluate this man for more as well, then you have to also ask yourself, can I properly evaluate him while still laying down with him at this point? Because sex can cloud people's judgment, bottom line. And it can make it very difficult for individuals to now properly understand who they should and should not deal with. Listen, there are plenty of people who have made excuses like, damn, he is toxic, but boy, is he good. Man, like, actually, scratch that. I don't like that line. There's a lot of people who will make excuses because, like, he may not treat you right all the time, but the sex is great. And unfortunately, that leads a lot of people to, again, overlooking the red flags and still holding on to this individual. So now your judgment is clouded because you are caught up. So getting back, but I kind of went off the rail there. Getting back to the point of, can a relationship happen? It can, but it does not hurt you to wait when the intention is actually for a relationship. It will only hurt you to wait and take time to evaluate when that guy is not serious about you. And I know there might be some guys that say, or even some women who say, well, listen, even the guy who wants a real relationship wants to be able to evaluate you sexually. I understand that. But I would argue that when you have two people and there's a real connection, and if you follow me and watch any of my videos, you know I'm all about genuine connection, that's what's needed to even move forward in a real relationship, in my opinion. When that exists, there's, again, a lot more willingness to be patient with each other. There's a lot more willingness to focus on the non-physical. in order to understand that we are for each other, or we want to be together. And so sex does not have to enter into the dynamic so soon when two people have a connection. It doesn't mean the desire won't be there, and it doesn't mean that sometimes even with connection, people end up sleeping with each other very fast. It's just that it's the connection to me that will then determine if you guys can still have a relationship or not. But again, sex can throw so many wrenches into the whole thing. So it's just mindful to wait as much as possible, to give yourself time to evaluate, to be on the same page, to make sure you're setting yourself up for what you truly desire, and you're making sure that you can handle getting physically invested, sexually invested in this individual. Now, one more thing. If you've already had sex too soon, let's say you're in a situation right now and you've already crossed that line, all right? I don't want you to beat yourself up about it. I don't want you to dwell on, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. Oh my gosh, what have I done? Because that's not going to be productive for you. That's not going to get you anywhere. And again, I'm not going to judge you. I understand that we're all human. We all, make decisions that maybe we regret or wish we would have done something differently. What you got to do now is move forward in honesty with that individual. You got to tell him how you're feeling. You got to tell him where your head is at. But I'm going to be real with you. It's difficult to allow sex to enter into the equation and then to pull it out. All right? That's going to be rough, because even if he has real feelings for you, that's just it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, because now he's become conditioned to the sexual relations that you guys have been having. But I still believe that if his intentions are genuine, and if he sees you as a woman he wants to truly be with, then he's at least open to trying to understand how you're feeling and trying to work with you, and seeing how you guys can navigate through this together. But also, if you feel like you've moved too fast, again, express your concerns. Express what steps may have been missed. Maybe it's about, okay, even if sex is not going to be off the table completely for right now, let's at least go through a period of time where we can do some more of the deep work to make sure we really are best for each other. We really should continue this relationship with each other. And for some of y'all, that sex too soon may have happened and you're not even in a relationship yet. You're in a situationship. And so in that scenario, listen, you damn sure can pull back if you want. Like if he hasn't even committed to you and you're having sex with him, you're not obligated to keep having sex with him. Not saying that you're obligated to keep having sex with the guy who's your boyfriend who did commit to you, but that's a very different dynamic than someone who's never given you the commitment. And so with that guy, if you have moved too fast, if you have jumped into bed too soon, listen, yes, you can take a step back. But I would still say, if your desire is to move to a relationship with him, you still need to be honest and transparent. Don't just pull back and don't say nothing, and he don't understand what the hell's going on. All right, you got to be very clear about how you're feeling and why you want to take this approach, so he understands the motive and the intention behind this, rather than just thinking you're playing games and being stupid. That's what his mind's going to say. Not that you are being stupid, but he may view it that way because he's like, what the hell's going on? So be open to talking about it, being transparent, but understand that, yes, the guy that didn't give you commitment and you had sex with him already, you tell him how you feeling about this, he might be like, listen, I ain't with it. I was just trying to have sex, so this isn't going to work. And you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with that. Because if your aim is for something more, then the reality is that you were never going to get it just remaining to have sex with him anyway. So it's best that you let go and move on to bigger and better things than to allow yourself to remain attached to this individual who's never going to give you what you wanted. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. If he's a man, he'd probably love to have some sex. I'm just saying, that's just for a lot of guys, right? But that doesn't mean that every guy only wants you for sex. The thing is, how do you know?